All right. There we go. All right. And all right. It's cold here. Um,
It's cold here. It's like it never got above 40 here today. Today is like a perfect Seattle winter day. But it's only October. What? It's only October, whatever it is. It's 19th. This would be a Seattle December Seattle winter day. Yeah, December January in Seattle. It's kind of a little bit rainy, and I mean to me it's a perfect day.
I just heard that it hadn't rained in Seattle since June 1st.
Yeah, it's really dry, and that's making the fires really. The fires are bad.
Oh, well, I
I mean,
guess
there's
y'all be
smoke in the sky all the time, and
Oh, by the way, we're live. So,
oh, well, never
um,
mind then.
there you go with that little weather report, and welcome to Not Right in the Head, episode number 32 with the hammer. And
Yeah, this is Dr. Wonky, and we always start midstream, right?
yeah,
We always start midstream. It's already going on. You're just joining in midstream. That's a good way to jump in, right? Just sort of like
okay,
jumping in the middle of the river.
all right. That sounds a little
Because
corny, but
we just talk 24/7. We don't ever stop. This goes on all the time.
okay, except for
Um,
when I'm sleeping, which is as much as possible.
well, that's all right.
So,
People fall asleep.
as we've discussed many episodes prior to today, our topic today is
Oh well, the, the Democrats panic attack. The Democrats are in full panic attack mode. Um, and this is just it reminds me of Van Jones, who was a friend of Barack Obama. He said, when Republicans lose an election, they want to kill Democrats. When Democrats lose an election, they want to kill themselves. It's like, and so now here, just less than 3 weeks before the election, because Bernie Sanders came out and said the Democrats need to be talking more about the economy, abortion. It's fine, but we got to talk about the inflation and the economy. Now, I'm sorry, that is I hate to beseech my own name, but it's too freaking wonky. Inflate the mobilization of the Democratic base, the women, the young women, after the Dobbs decision. The abortion issue is what mobilized the base, and then you don't say weeks before the election, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about
well,
inflation.
yeah. Then you've got your car and driving 100 miles an hour and in one direction, and then you say, "Okay, time to put on the
No,
brakes."
no, and because none of these people, I guarantee you that if it took the abortion issue to make them active, they wouldn't have given a flying duck about inflation because it's too wonky. And the other thing is, what is the freaking government supposed to do about it that wouldn't be also called, and they already did, it wouldn't also be called socialism. So, in other words, inflation is a part of the free market. It's a naturally occurring phenomena of the free market. It's a shift in the supply and demand curve. Prices go up when demand is up and supplies are down. And the only response we need to have is this is how supply side Reaganomics has failed us. The supply side dope that we've been addicted to for the last 40 years ran into a worldwide pandemic and it freaking failed us. That's why, and we don't have any American jobs and we don't have any American options. That's why our domestic supply is in the tank. We don't have it. And now the other thing is today, President Biden released another 15 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve. Let's get this straight. We have gas prices that are, I don't know that they've never been this high. They were during the Bush administration. Somehow that didn't matter. But, gas was up. I remember filling up in Southern California at $4.25 a gallon. I remember that. But somehow 388, oh, this is just the worst economy in 40 years.
Is that what it is where you are? 388?
No, I don't know what it is here because
Oh,
I don't
okay.
drive anymore,
Because
obviously.
it
But
is actually going down here
yeah,
from, I thought it was going to go up after OPEC did that cut, but it never did go up. And it's actually gone down maybe like 80 cents or something.
well, I think it's plummeting faster than people thought, and that's why when President Biden released this, they said, "Oh, you're just playing politics." So, in other words, he does what they after all this time, he does what they ask him to do. And they're saying he should be releasing more oil. He should be getting, and this is what this means, everybody. They're saying that the government, the oil that we buy and store away into our strategic reserves in case we have some kind of a disaster, natural disaster, or we have a war breakout. This is we have to buy this oil, and we have to buy this oil on the world market. This is the other thing. We don't get to drill our own fucking oil and keep it. We have to let the oil companies drill it and put it on the world market so that we can buy it at the inflated prices. This is giving them oil so they can sell it back to us at an inflated price. That's freaking insane. And now that he did that, okay, he gives them more oil. And by the way, there's two things about the oil. It's not, there are 7,000 or more leases for drilling, new leases that have been opened up by the Biden administration, which are not being used by the oil companies. So they don't really need it. It's gasoline. Gasoline is the commodity. So releasing new oil doesn't really bring down the price because gasoline is the commodity, yet gasoline is also, has been in the last several years, one of our biggest, and then sometimes our biggest export. Gasoline it used to be, by the way, in the good old days in the 70s. I remember when I was, in high school learning social studies and economics. Oh, I didn't realize that our biggest export was sugar cane or sugar beets, right? Whatever, something like that. No, our biggest export now is gasoline. 29% last year, 29% of our domestic oil was exported, put on the world market. Now let's look at this. So in other words, if you have a backyard garden and you want to say grow tomatoes, well, if you have a lot of tomato plants, your tomato bill for the summer should be what? Well, other than caring for your plants, it should be freaking zero, right? But what the oil companies want, this is like the supermarkets telling you, oh no, you can't just have tomatoes from your garden to use for yourself. No, you have to come down, bring your tomatoes down here to the supermarket and sell them there, and see if the tomatoes that you happen to bring to the market actually depress the price of tomatoes by about a half a penny, right? Just from your little garden. So that's what we're doing. So they complain about that, but then when they say Biden should be giving us more oil, and so he gives them more oil, they say, oh, he's just playing politics with 3 weeks before an election, he's releasing all this.
Well, I mean, nobody can pay attention to the comments of the other side. They're always going to be negative. It doesn't matter if you give them a pound of gold; they'll still bitch.
Right. But that's what Democrats. They always do this at the last minute. Go, oh, maybe they get a point. Maybe it is the economy. Oh, we should be talking about. As a matter of fact, President Biden did talk about. I've passed the Inflation Reduction Act. It's and he talked about the unprecedented provisions in that piece of legislation. So he's already done it. He has done that, and they just can't. But
Biden, he's just one guy. I think about all the things they expect out of him, and then I think of who appears to work like all the time. And I think about Trump, who appeared to never work. And nobody from his party ever complained. Why? Because I do believe he probably threatened to kill anybody that even brought anything.
And I think you're right. Literally, you're right. He did actually threaten to kill them. I think that was part of the.
Well, I mean, I don't know, or somehow just harm them in some way, and.
He punch him in the face. I mean, because remember in the old days, you could punch somebody in the face, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like this week.
I would like to see him take a punch to the face.
I
Guarantee.
actually I was going to say if Nancy Pelosi is still willing to make good on that to punch him out, I think we could all chip in to pay her legal bills because you ought to be able to punch somebody in the face just like you could in the old days. So I think Nancy
well,
Pelosi,
I would love to see that on WWE. I mean,
oh, that would be.
she is like 1/4 of the size of him, and she is still actually older, even though he's old.
She could deck him. I would give her even odds on decking him, putting him on the ground in less than 10 seconds. Yeah.
I just will never forget when he was on stage, when he was running in 2016, and somebody rushed the stage, and I don't remember what state it was, and he just like cowered like a little kid.
Oh yeah, he panicked, right?
Yeah, he didn't like put his fists up or take a swing or go after. He just like cowered, and then the Secret Service engulfed him, and he stayed engulfed.
Yeah, don't let him get me. Don't let him get me.
They're not going to hit me, are they?
But I think the guy who came on stage discovered how absolutely disgusting and repulsive he is, and I think left. And they said, "Oh, the danger is over, Mister Grifter."
I know, but I mean, I think of like John McCain, and if the same thing happened, I just cannot imagine that he would cower like that.
Oh no, John McCain would punch. Yeah, he'd punch somebody with his.
Yeah. I mean, even on like his sickest day, he still would have.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he gave the thumbs down, he was like just coming back from chemo or something.
Yeah.
Remember the thumbs down, and he just like that was classic.
Before he died, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that here's the other reason, and a really good reason for the Democrats to not give up and actually double down on the campaign message, which is, I think people understand your rights were taken away, women. You're right that this is what motivated you. It's what mobilized you. Your rights are being stolen by a court that was appointed by this Republican Party. It's a political body. And the reason that's a good thing is because if you switch to the economy message, this is first of all, it's not very the hot button issues are abortion. I mean, the
thing about why the economy is no good, even if there is inflation, everybody still has a job. So it's not exactly. Like they're not going to go hungry or not be able to send their kids to their special camp, and it's
have
just
jobs
and cost them more.
You have money, but yeah, it's more. Yeah, it is that kind of.
Yeah, so it's not like when Obama got in office, when everybody was literally desperate for jobs.
Yeah, really. What do you want? Deflation? Do you want? And this is the other thing. This is again what Republicans, they say the thing to do to solve inflation is raise interest rates, right? And tax cuts and raise interest rates. And here's the problem: is that raising interest rates always hurts the lower income people, because when they do that, when you raise interest rates, it makes it more expensive for the corporations to borrow money. So they do raise their prices even more. And then the other thing is they lay people off because their business costs have gotten more expensive. And that's how you end up taking money out of the economy. And that's not a good way.
If the Republicans really cared about the inflation, and they could, at least to some extent, or probably all extent, trace it back to corporate greed, then, there would already be a windfall tax on the oil companies and all the other ones. And
we had that.
They're not even talking about it. I haven't heard anybody other than I work.
Biden said it today. President Biden said it today. They're sitting on profits. And here's I have to finish, but the point I was talking about why stick with the abortion issue is that when when we win this election, when the Democrats win the election, it's got to be absolutely clear that it was about abortion. And that was your court that did it to us, and you just lost. And
Well,
what that does,
I would add to that at least crime, because that's what the Republicans are kind of, they're not kind of, they are running on crime, even though, as far as I'm concerned, it's their fault with the guns.
well, here's the funny thing is this is let me finish about abortion and then I'll go to crime. I want to say something about that. But if Republicans lose, when they lose, I'm not going to say if, they're going to lose, they will know that they lost on they are the dog that caught the bus and got their head run over by the rear wheels, just like I was portrayed in the Cheech and Chong on Big Bamboo from 1970. How they got run over. Yeah.
Going back to Cheech and Chong.
They
are classic, though.
Yeah. Okay. So that caught the ran over. Yeah, I could get a high on the exhaust, but they will know that, and then the Supreme Court will know that. And there's two things that will happen: is first of all, when the Republicans realize we lost, not on the economy, because you can always BS your way through economics, but when they know that they lost on the abortion issue and they got hammer, then they are not going to bring cases to court. You know, for decades when they were in the minority, they said, "Oh, I mean, back in the Roe days and other." They said, and same-sex marriage, Obergefell, they said these cases the court should have never taken these cases. Yet now that they have a majority on the court, a significant majority, they want to take everything to the court. But if they number one lose on the issue, they're going to be a little bit circumspect about taking a case that's going to make people angry to court. And the other thing is the court's going to see, the team that put us up here just lost. And maybe the court themselves, who might be a little bit, just tiny bit smarter than the Republicans themselves, will say, we're not going to take cases like that because we'd have to hand down a ruling that would hurt them. Or either that or hand down a ruling that helps the Democrats, right?
I would take a wait and see attitude on that one.
Well, okay. Sure. But I think
because that's just like where they run to right now. And I haven't seen it slow down. And when I do, then I will agree with you.
But the other thing about crime is, here's the thing that just, this is, I must educate our many listeners about this. So I hear so many ads about Democrats are soft on crime. Alyssa Slotkin is soft on crime. And then remember during the hearings for Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, that she's soft. Lindsey Graham said she was soft on crime. And I'm like, I know the American people don't understand this, but I'm sorry. Alyssa Slotkin doesn't have a fucking thing to do about crime. She's a congresswoman. If you don't like the crime, the federal government does not enact general crime statutes. If you don't like what's the crime in your inner cities or wherever, or mostly in other places out in the red states, blame your damn red legislatures. They have nothing to do. The federal government doesn't have anything to do with crime other than crimes committed against the federal government. Like, for example, January 6th. That's the kind of crime. So if they're accusing Alyssa Slotkin,
Dr. Wonky, you're going to have to say the federal government does have something to do with crime because of the Supreme Court and their rulings on guns.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, they want to make that's. I'll give you that. Hammer. The hammer hit the nail on the head.
Point hammer, yeah, baby.
Hammer hit the wonky on the head, but they to allow guns in every city and by the way, what that says is what the Supreme Court has done is said that the options that the states had to curtail crime by enacting stricter gun laws, the Supreme Court said you can't. Originally, the Second Amendment was intended to say that states can decide to regulate guns as strictly or as freely as they choose. But no, the Supreme Court came along and said, no, you have to let anybody who wants to have a gun, let them have it. And so crime wins. People just shoot because
it's the guns, washing guns. Like, I can't tell you how many times if I had a gun when I got mad.
Well,
that would have been carnage.
People have very little restraint. They have very obviously many people have no filter whatsoever. That's exactly right. So the Supreme Court, I grant you that they do have an effect on guns, but in terms of being soft on crime, I guess you could if you want to say so, like Judge Jackson as a federal judge, being soft on crime would have meant giving people like what's his name, Stewart, one-eyed oath keeper. Giving him a lot of breaks, just like the Judge Eileen Loose Cannon is giving Trump a lot of breaks. That's being soft on crime. I would say that Judge Eileen Cannon, federal district court Judge Eileen Cannon, is soft on crime because all she has done is give the accused, and by the fact, he hasn't even been accused. Is it giving breaks and appointed a special evidence master when there isn't any evidence yet? No, nothing has been entered into evidence. They've only been seizures. There is no charges have been filed. Nothing has been entered into evidence in a case. He's not been charged. So
he needs to be charged.
Well, then during discovery, when the DOJ brings things to enter into evidence, and if it's a lot or if it's very specialized, very classified, then the judge can say, okay, hold on a second. There's a lot of stuff here. It's very specific. I need a special evidence master to deal with it. But that's what she jumped the gun and just appointed. And then
because he asked her to. That's why. That's how you know it's the whole thing is rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged. Unless I win, it's rigged. Yeah. And then the special master, this Judge Deary, he says, because this is what a special master wants to do, is say they don't like to deal with hypotheticals. He wants to say, what questions are you asking me to deal with specifically? And so and then Trump says, this evidence was planted. And then he has to say, well, wait a minute. Now, he didn't just say put up or shut up. He might have said that in so many words, but he said, which ones? Because I'm not going to just say they all might have been, because there's too many boxes there. Which ones are you talking about? And then Judge Cannon says, he doesn't have to answer that question. Well, then you just made an ass out of your evidence.
Well, yes, I have actually been involved, not in these kind of federal cases, but just in depositions for civil stuff. And they're oftentimes, because they don't have a judge in depositions, right? But if they get in a dispute, they can call. Right. And that's exactly what they do, is they rule on the exact issue that is in dispute. That is their whole purpose. If there is not an exact issue, there is no point in calling them.
Right. The court doesn't give advisory opinions. They don't say, well, if this happens, blah, 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 and if this happens. No. What's the exact question? What is the specific question? Exactly right.
Yeah, and it has to be egregious. It can't just be because the other side objects. Because that's the deposition. That's just noted, and then you either answer the question. Then you still have to answer the question.
Right, and when you go, and after the deposition process, further down the discovery process, when you're actually going to take this in front of the judge, who, by the way, is supposed to be the evidence master, the judge is. The judge say, okay, I don't this one.
But this is that would be a criminal case that Trump's potentially in. I don't think anybody has said it was be a civil case.
I don't think that they've decided what it is.
Well, I mean,
that's what I mean.
Espionage. The words they're throwing around are.
Well, what I'm saying is that the DOJ has to pick and choose and kind of choose their battles, because, for instance, they might not want to bring charges that involve too many or any classified documents for the fact that these things will come out in court, they may choose just to pursue charges related to obstruction, which they may not need to use a lot of evidence. And certainly that's a common charge. Obstruction of justice is not something that you need an evidence master, that the court should need an evidence master to deal with.
Well, I would contend that the evidence master is part of the obstruction, demanding to have one.
Yeah. Well, I would say, actually, in this case, I think the judge is part of the obstruction. So,
well, the judge too, because the judge has to. I mean, you have to say that if the person that appointed you is one of the or is the defendant,
yeah, right.
there has to be conflict of interest, and
Well,
that would
yeah,
never be allowed for anybody else either.
Oh, how dare you insult the court? Are you trying to make a? What did he say? Are you trying to? What is that? I'm trying to think of the. I shouldn't have said it, but it was Mae West in My Little Chickadee. Are you trying to show contempt for this court? And she said, "I'm doing my best not to."
Okay, well,
My Little Chickadee.
Always go to Mae West when you need a good quote. You definitely.
Well, she was a classic, and she was quite a grand lady. And that actually really happened to her. She was in court, and she wrote that into My Little Chickadee because it actually really happened.
She's brilliant, no doubt about it, no question about it. Yeah. But in any case, I don't know what's going to happen with the document case or the January 6th or the supposed case that the DOJ is developing against Trump about, I guess about January 6th, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they're doing. And I try to follow it.
They have something coming up because he clearly was the central figure in the insurrection against the federal. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of criminal law that the Congress can enact. And as a matter of fact, that's what Congress does. Anything that is subversive to the enumerated powers of Congress, the powers of Congress enumerated in Article 1, Section 8, to include, by the way, the last one, which is the necessary and proper cause. Anything that obstructs our necessary and proper legislation to run the government, or anything that is that gets in the way of the process of government in any article, including the fake electors, because the electors, and of course this is what's going to happen in the Supreme Court. The electors, how they're specified in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 3. That's what's going to court again this month, or will be going in Moore versus Harper, when the North Carolina legislature says that we should be the only ones who get to choose and decide which electors go, and we can change our mind anytime we want. So that's the Supreme Court is going to get another rigged case.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a rigged court. Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. And this is the very frustrating part of everything. Like, everybody knows these bad things are happening, and they're powerless to fight back other than just, blood in the streets, because the Republicans are in on the fix.
Well, that's what they want, blood in the streets, because they have no eloquence.
Yeah, they would love blood on the streets.
Yeah, because that lets them use their guns, and they have no eloquence, and when they hear the pen is mightier than the sword, they go, "Oh shit, really? Well, how about my AR-15? I mean, what about that?" I mean,
I would say we're just about done here, but I would say that the world is not looking too great, non-fascist wise, fascist wise. I hope that the U.S. can hold on through this election. We just have to take it like an alcoholic, day by day or election by election, and try to get through this without a bad result, either through bad voting or criminal vote counting.
Well, there's bound to be there's bound to be all of everything that we both would enjoy and not enjoy. To be, it's going to be it's bound to be a circus. Is all I can say. It's going to be a circus. 19,
Well, I just hope it's the least amount of circus possible. That's all.
20, yeah.
Um,
It'll be a
and
circus train, all right. Yep, everybody's jumping on the circus train.
Yep. So that's another exciting episode of Not Right in the Head. And I've been the Hammer, and
I've been Dr. Wonky.
has been the Dr. Wonky, and we will see you next time. Au revoir.
Mm-hmm.